Hospitality technology isn't just for the big pub players. Family-owned tech provider Zonal has worked with operators big and small for more than 40 years to help operators cut costs and run efficient businesses that provide memorable experiences and boost the bottom line. Zonal is a trusted BII partner, and we are delighted to be working with them on this new podcast series, highlighting some of the best licensees in the business. For more information about what Zonal's technology can do for your pub, please do visit their website. I'm very excited to be joined by Keris de Villiers, one half of Lee and Keris from the Pig and Whistle and the Beehive in Wandsworth. Good morning, Keris.
Good morning, Mal.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Absolutely great. Thank you very much. Thanks for taking the time to join me for a quick chat this morning. We're going to cover all things de Villiers and pubs.
Fabulous.
So it's just yourself this morning. Lee is off working hard in the pub, which is where he needs to be. So it's all good.
Yep, where he belongs.
So tell us a little bit about you guys, how you started in the industry and what pubs you are currently running.
We started over 20 years ago. We started with Young's as bar staff and sort of used it as a way to travel around the world, work for 6 months, travel for 6 months. Stuck with Young's, eventually had a managed house for 10 years and then decided to go off on our own in a sense and got a couple of tenancies. We now have a pub with Punch, which is the Pig and Whistle, and we also have a fairly new one, the Beehive with Fullers, also a tenancy.
Fantastic. So you know all sides and angles of the pub market from your experience. Fantastic. And currently you're, like you said, you're in 2 pubs. The Beehive, your newest, but the Pig and Whistle we'll have a chat about for now, because that's the one you reached the finals of the Licensee of the Year award with this year. Tell us what makes the Pig so special.
I think being a sort of London pub, if you like, we've always still wanted to create it as the heart of the community. So we like to have that country community feel where people are the most important, even though we sort of are in the heart of the city, if you like. We live above the pub, as most managers do these days, and it's our home. So we want to be proud of our pub as we are of our home. Letting people into our pub is the same as them coming into where we live. So we want them to come in and, first of all, them to feel at home, but also be proud of what we're offering them and try to consider that in every decision that we make within the business.
And you did some great stuff with us over the pandemic. So you did an audio kind of diary with us over the pandemic once a week, telling us how you were feeling about the next stage of restrictions or not restrictions. And there were lots of things that you brought in to all of your pubs at the time as a kind of result of the pandemic. But something that you already had in the Pig and Whistle is your cute little beach huts in the garden. Is that right?
Yes. They were there in the beginning and from the beginning, and we just made them a little more quirky, give them a little bit of a South African theme, because we're from South Africa. And we took it one step further and then put up a big tent in the whole garden, covered that, so that when we had the weird rules in between each lockdown, we were able to use that so much more and safely get as many people in there as we possibly could. So it gave us a bit of a quirky feel, but also allowed us to trade within the guidelines.
Yeah, amazing. And am I right in saying you've got TV screens out there as well?
Yeah, we've got 3 huts, and each hut has its own TV with its own volume, and we can change the channels between our skyboxes. And then under the tent, we also have a big screen, weather permitting. So that's great for sporting events. We're quite rugby focused, being from the Southern Hemisphere. So that's usually packed out there. And yeah, people love it.
Amazing. And talking about rugby and sport, you guys are hugely involved in local sports teams in your community. How many are you sponsoring now?
The Pig has, within one team that we sponsor, our biggest sponsorship, they have 6 different teams within that. That's our rugby. Then we have a ladies netball team, and we've just signed a football team. Lee can't stop with all of this. And then we also sponsor a tag rugby league, and they all use the pub on a weekly basis. And then the Beehive has 3 other teams as well. So 9-ish altogether.
I mean, that's a huge amount of people to get to know, and obviously part of your role is to get to know people and to welcome them and make them feel like part of your family, as you said before. How do you keep on top of that? How do you remember who everybody is?
It really does become like a family. With the big rugby team that we have that have 6 teams, they also have a netball team and a ladies rugby team as well. And that has become like a family. They're called the Wild Dogs, so we're called the Pack. And anyone involved in that becomes part of the Pack. We are able to do great deals on meat because one of the sponsors is a butcher and he allows us special deals on our T-bones and our sharing ribeyes. So it really is such a symbiotic relationship for everyone. And you just get to know everyone because they're always in the pub and they just become part of the pack, really.
Amazing. So it's a great thing to do to support local charities and local sports clubs. But and this is a theme that's coming out in these podcasts, even if you're doing things for altruistic reasons, it's always beneficial to your business, whether it be from a marketing perspective to reach more people, from pulling everybody in the pack into the pub, because why wouldn't they want to come and see each other and see you guys as part of their family? So it's going to be hugely beneficial for your business as well as for the local community.
Absolutely. And we do it, even though it's done in a lighthearted, fun community way and the pack and all of those things, it's all done on a contractual basis in the sense of we sponsor them. That deal with that club is that they have to have their opening party, their closing party, and one party a year. With the netball girls, they have to come in every Saturday after their home games. And with the football boys, there's different deals that they have to have. So everything's done. It's on paper. We know the minimum amount of money we will take for that spend. And then they also all come in. I've got a christening on the weekend for one of the Wild Dogs' mothers, sisters, fathers, brothers. So everyone flocks to the pub, and that's just extra. But there are contractual deals in place because it is still a business.
Absolutely. And I think that's really important. So many people get into running a pub because they're like, yeah, I love people and I drink beer and this would be great to do. So fun. And the reality is that, like you say, it's a business. And if you don't keep an eye on everything that you're doing all the time, then you're putting your business at risk.
And you become far too, because they are your family, because they are your friends, you become far too generous. So you have to hold yourself back. Oh, we'll do the free food for that function. You have to go, no, we can't do that. It's full business. We already sponsor them. So it is a bit of give and take, and you have to also, Lee and I doing it together, we're lucky in that because then one of us can sort of be the voice of reason. And you have to remember it's a business because it's not all fun and games.
What I love about you two, though, is that you are not, there's not always one person who's the voice of reason. Sometimes one of you will go, no, we absolutely have to do this. And the other one's like, no, I'm the voice of reason today. But you never 100%. Know who it's going to be.
100%. Our roles switch constantly, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
So we get a good point of view from both sides, and then we have to sort of hear each other because we have to go upstairs together.
Yeah, that's the trouble when you live together as well. You're like, oh, we can't stop talking about it now.
Yeah, it helps, but it can also be a bit of a vice.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about the Beehive. This is your newest pub with Fullers. Whereabouts is that? Is it a very different sort of a pub than the Pig and Whistle?
The Pig and Whistle is quite foodie. We don't like to say gastro, but it is. People do love our food, and it is a good mix of the two. Where the Beehive is a proper boozer. We don't do food. We work alongside the local pizza restaurant next door, so they serve their pizzas from next door. So positives are we don't have to worry about those sort of overheads, but we get to keep that real good, fun boozer sort of vibe. We've introduced a quiz which goes down really well. We've introduced our wine club, which people like, and it's such a nice mix of older original customers, and then we've started getting a lot more younger people in offering better local beers, and it gives us such a nice mix of, because pubs are trendy again, a proper pub. So I definitely that's how I would describe the Beehive, a proper pub.
Yeah, everyone loves the dark wood bars now and everything like that. Like it went out of trend for a little while, but everyone's like, oh, isn't it nostalgic? Isn't it great?
Dark bar and ugly carpets. That's what makes it.
You don't have ugly carpets. You've got a great venue.
Maybe one or two.
Well, maybe I just don't think they're ugly, which makes me old now.
Because you like a proper pub.
Exactly. Yeah, I do. I like all pubs. Let's be honest. Right. There's no there's no pubs I don't like. So running 2 pubs, how do you manage that? How do you split your time?
We, like I said, we live above the Pig and Whistle, so it is the biggest site, so this is sort of our base, if you like. And then once a week we'll go to the Beehive for a paperwork day, Lee to do all his, the cellar work, things like that, and then we'll try and do 1 or 2 shifts at the Beehive a week, and then the rest of the time is spent at the Pig and Whistle. We have a fantastic team. And Bronwyn, who lives at the Beehive, she's been with us for 20 years. In one form or another, assistant manager, chef, all different things. So that's sort of her baby. So she looks after the day-to-day of that. She's the face, if you like. And then Lee and I go between.
Amazing. I think lots of people, especially if you're a couple and you live in one site, would find it really difficult. So it's great that you've got Bronwyn to rely on and not worry about the other site when you're at the pig.
100%. I trust her 100%, and she takes care of, like I said, the day-to-day. And it's nice that it's really close. We have a bus stop outside the pub and then literally takes us outside the Beehive, so it's so easy. So we can pop down if we need to do anything in an emergency, which touch wood is rare. But yeah, having a great team really makes it easy.
Fantastic. So tell us a bit more about your teams. And you said Bronwyn's been with you for 20 years, which was fantastic. Have you got a lot of longer term staff members who work with you?
Yes, my chef started as our KP and he has been with us now for 8 years. I couldn't live without him. My sous chef has been 6 years, and then I have 2 or 3 bar staff that have been over 5 years. So we're very lucky. People retention is very important to us. We train them up, so if they want to go further and do things, they can, but luckily none of them have left yet.
It's just too much fun where they are.
Yeah. I look after them and they look after me. So it's a good relationship.
And I think that's something that's quite unique in the pub world, that it's a business, you're paying for somebody's time to work with you, but it's so much more than that. And if it's not much more than that to you, I think that's when you find difficulties with staff leaving or not seeing it as a long-term career prospect. Have you got things in place so that you can help them achieve higher things or move on if they want to, though?
Yes, absolutely. Punch and Fullers are both quite good with e-learning courses. Fullers, because they're nearby, they're great with courses on site, so they can go to the brewery. One of our live-in staff at the Pig, he wants to do this as a career, and he wants to be with us for sort of 3 or 4 years and train up. He's done his cellar course, he's done a 5-day management course. So whenever somebody wants to progress, those things are in place for them to do that whenever they're ready. And he started as bar staff, but he wanted to progress, so he's now supervisor. And within the next month or so, he'll be a manager. So he'll be able to open and close by himself. And that's beneficial for me, but it is a process in helping him to move on. So we know that's a 4-year time frame.
Yeah, but great, because 4 years that's a fantastic. Absolutely. In the pub trade, definitely.
Absolutely.
And how, when you do recruit, how do you go about it? Is it word of mouth? Do you ever advertise, or?
I do advertise, but it is more word of mouth. And also because I have such a strong team, in the past it hasn't worked, but in the last sort of 2 years, we have a great team, and they're all quite young university students, and it's their friends that sort of get brought into the fold and become part of it. And we've had great success with that this time around. Before, we've had a way friends work together, it's not so good, or things like that, but we gave it a chance here, and it just makes them enjoy coming to work. And Lee and I have always been adamant, and the people that trained us, this is supposed to be fun. It's a hard job. It has to be fun, and that's what we kind of impress onto people, and it's definitely beneficial for us. And word of mouth is way more efficient than Gumtree or something like that.
Cool. Hello, let's have a brief chat about Licensee of the Year. So you were finalists with the Pig this year. You were, and sadly pipped to the post by the Tolly. But I know you guys have made great friendships from this time round. In fact, I think Joe was just giving you some flack on WhatsApp.
He was. I feel like he's getting quite stalkery, so I'm a bit nervous. But yeah, we've done this a couple of times, as you know. But this was by far the best experience that we had. I don't know if it was because we weren't as nervous, maybe because we knew the process, but we just had such fun with it. And it's such a great way to look at your business. Our business is so much better than it was 6 months ago just for entering the BII. It makes us do things that you've walked past 100 times and you think, I will get to that, and you just never do. And it helps you with your staff training. It helps you with so many things, and it was invaluable. And this time we just got all the benefits of it, but we also had an absolute blast and met some absolutely fantastic people. So I would recommend anyone doing it just for the experience.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. We'll be launching in January, everybody. So get yourselves ready.
It's totally worth it. It's scary, but it's great.
Scary, but great. We'll put that on the marketing.
Tagline.
Scary but great.
Yeah.
And let's have a quick chat about sustainability, because also we launched our Sustainability Champions program at Summer Event this year, and you guys are one of our inaugural winners. You do so much in that space, but let us know some of the things that you've done more recently.
The most recent one that we've done is we took, and also because of the BII, we wanted to take things a little bit further, and we took an idea and we ran with it. We've always done an incentive where customers can bring in their used cooking oil from home, and we'll recycle it along with ours, send it off to get recycled. And we got in contact with Wandsworth Council to take it a little bit further, and they gave us a grant so that we could buy branded bottles, so the customers didn't have to bring in weird mayonnaise jars and empty wine bottles, things like that. So they'll bring in the container, we'll swap it out for a clean one, and they will be able to bring in whenever they want. And I think to date we've collected something like 500 litres of oil.
Wow.
And that's oil that was going down the drain, hopefully going in the bin rather, but a lot of people had said to us, oh, we were throwing it down the sink, and you just think, oh my goodness. So that it really helps with that kind of thing. And Wandsworth Council are now talking about powering their trucks with oil on the back of it from local businesses. So we're quite excited about that. It's been in a couple of news articles and things. So yeah, it's so great when something you're doing actually can make a difference.
Yeah, and look, that's a prime example of something that you guys don't have to do, but you know, and it takes time and energy and effort out of your day to do it. But also, I would hope that it would be bringing some more local business in, because people might come in to drop their
they
oil
have
off,
when they bring in their oil,
of
for
course,
sure.
Of course.
Funny how the husbands always bring it in.
Yeah, they're
so helpful.
That's weird. It's just weird. So what else have you guys been doing from a sustainability point of view?
We've always always done it and taken it one step further. We recycle we've got general, we've got glass, we've got cardboard, and now we do food waste as well. We changed all our light bulbs to LED. So whenever we do something that needs upgrading, we will add whatever we can that's the most sustainable version of that.
And I've been talking to Joe and Flo about their sustainability stuff, and obviously they've got a slightly different situation in that they've got, you know, tons of land, so they can have a nice little compost heap in the back garden, but not quite as easy to do in London.
No, of course not. So we do what we can on a smaller scale, of course.
Absolutely. So we've talked about obviously both of your pubs. What would you say has been the biggest challenge in running pubs for you guys?
I think biggest challenge this time around has been with the costs of utilities. Mm-hmm. That's been really tricky to manage, and how to not put all that cost onto the customer.
Yeah.
We've had to sit down many times and think about how we were going to do that, and how much of the cost we could absorb, just because there is no way those customers are struggling as much as we are. Mm. And to be able to retain their business and have a fine line where we don't lose money and they can still afford to come to the pub has been a tricky balance. That's what we found the most tricky recently.
Can you imagine a time where somebody had asked you that question and you didn't say the pandemic?
I know.
You know, when you were in that, it's like, well, obviously this is the worst thing we've ever faced, but
then it just keeps coming.
Yeah, it just keeps coming. It's relentless, isn't it? But I guess the thing is about you guys is that you're just constantly reinventing and constantly reaching for the next thing that's going to help you.
100%. And the pandemic was as awful as it was, we tried to make the most of it, because that doesn't sound very normal.
You're just positive about it.
We had to be positive about it, and it really brought our community together and made our pub even better. We did something all the time. We were doing takeaways, we were doing mini wine clubs, we were doing deliveries, we were doing what we could when we could, so that it gave customers something to look forward to. We would deliver beer on their doorstep, and you'd have a chat for 5 minutes. So as awful as it was nice to be the positivity in the community. And when we got through it, it felt like we all got through it together. Mm-hmm. And then we thought everything was over, and then it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. I mean, I guess the thing is, it'll never be over, will it? Nothing ever is all hunky-dory. There's always going to be challenges, and it's just approaching them in a positive way that helps you to get through them and ready for the next one.
You have to have your little panic when you find out what's happening, and then so many people rely on you. Staff rely on you, customers rely on you. We have suppliers that rely on us, so we have to pull our socks up and get on with it.
And is that something that you now, as tenants and having been managers before, is that a big difference? Because obviously people don't rely on you quite as much when you're a manager, or you don't feel the weight of that responsibility as much as when it's your own business and your own staff that rely on you making it a success.
Oh yes, definitely. From going from managed to tenancies has changed everything. We kept all the basic teachings that we got, and it gave us a massive advantage having all that managed house knowledge, if you like, but we did have to change the way that we did things, and how much things mattered changed. The pub became, when we were managers, we thought that our life was the pub, but when we got to tenancies, we had no idea that it really was your life.
Yeah. And do you think yeah, absolutely. Do you think you could ever go back to managing?
No.
I knew the answer to that question before I asked it, to be fair.
No. I love doing it for ourselves, and we're able to do things, quirky ideas, and add things to the pub that in managed you wouldn't be able to facilitate.
If someone was thinking about taking on a tenancy and they had never been a manager before, what would your advice be?
I would definitely say go and get a pub job first. If you've never done anything within pubs, you need to know if it has to be in your blood. It has to be something that you love to do. But if you're jumping from managed to tenancy, I would say do it in a heartbeat. If you've never done it before, I would definitely say get some experience in a bar or a pub before you jump in, because you need to know. And once you've worked in a bar for a month, you'll know.
Yeah, either way.
It's either in you or it's not.
And obviously join the BII if you're
of course,
because otherwise you won't know what you're doing. Well, let's not go that far, but we'll make sure that you don't.
Miserably.
So we had a chat a little bit about all the stuff that you do, and that's you and Lee and how you drive things. How do you manage that? What tools have you got in place to make sure that you are doing the right things, from a kind of, changing up your menus or looking at shift patterns, all of that sort of stuff? Have you got anything that helps you in the tech space?
We make great use of our back office till system. So that gives us all our sales figures, and that on the back of that GPs and all of our financials. And then we're right now in the process of changing our menus because we have to put our prices up a little bit for that. And I've got that all from the back office, which is invaluable to us. With regards to things that we always have schedules for things. So, and it's nice with the two of us. So Lee will always take care of the social media stuff and see what direction we need to go in that way. And I will take care of more of the kitchen and staff aspects of it.
Yeah.
And we have good tools for that.
And how much has that changed since you've been in the business? Obviously 20 years is a good amount of time to see that tech develop.
I'm still a little bit old-fashioned in the sense that I, do my own bookings. I handle that all personally, just because it's just the way that I prefer it. But when we first started, you had the pub phone, and that's all you had. That's how you took bookings. Emails came a little bit later, but it was never on your mobile or anything like that. So I can't run my pub without my phone and the various apps and the email system. I wouldn't be able to do it. So it's just insane to think, how did we do this with a Nokia 5110 and a landline 20 years ago?
Well, nobody was doing any analysis. They were just all playing Snake, weren't they? So it is crazy, and like tech has advanced so much even since the pandemic, that there are so many things that are possible now. But it sounds like you've got a good balance of using it to your advantage but not getting obsessed with it, because I think it can be one of those things where you could be on your phone analysing stuff on a minute by minute basis.
It's such a fine line. So we stick to social media, the website, and our back office till system for our sales and GPs and figures and things, and try to cut it off at that, because I think, like you say, it can go crazy.
And how do you manage your team time? So staff rotoring, is that something that you have got tech for? Do you have a plan and everybody just sticks to it and you don't need
I have set rules. I do the rota on a Friday morning, and the staff need to let me know their requests on by a Thursday, and we have a sheet that they write it on, because if they all text me their requests, 25 staff, I'm going to have to kill someone. And we try and balance it, that they don't try and overlap their holidays as much. And I've always been a person who loves Tetris, so I look at my rota like a Tetris game. And it's nice because all the staff work in both pubs, so everyone's able to do a shift in each where they can. So it gives them a good visual of, so everyone has a good visual of the business. Everyone knows, oh, quiz night at the Beehive's really busy on a Wednesday. So if somebody wants that shift, they'll request it because it's busy, even though they normally work at the Pig. So it's a nice balance, and it does have to be organized and pre-planned.
It sounds like you are the queen bee at the Beehive.
Well, Robin would argue with me on that one, but yeah, we can fight it out.
I don't want to call him the queen pig. That would be like, that's just wrong, isn't it? The queen whistle? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll be the whistle. That's fine. I'm loud enough.
So what's next? Because you guys never really sit still. You're always thinking about the next thing. Any future plans, or are you just holding fire for now?
We're kind of taking it easy at the minute. Up until last year, we had a brewery and another pub, and whatever happened with Punch and Young's or whatever, that stopped, and that's why we took the Beehive. And we're actually really enjoying just having two sites, because we're able to put so much energy, attention, and love into both. And we feel like, even though we are at the Pig more because we live here, we feel like we have such a good split. We know all the regulars at the Beehive now. Obviously, we know the ones at the Pig. So it's such a nice split for us, and able to be the face for both businesses, and people know us and enjoy our company, and it just makes it really enjoyable. So this year we've decided just to chill, and then we'll see what happens next year. Punch have offered us, and Fuller's have offered us another pub, but for now I think we're just enjoying what we're doing and taking a minute to breathe after everything that we've all been through.
Absolutely. And that's a common theme, I think, with everybody else that I'm talking to at the moment, just going, there's so many challenges that have just come at you over the last 3 years. And there's been a lot. A few. So just staying where you are and taking a breath and enjoying the moment, because you guys 100%. Run fantastic businesses. So
just enjoying what we're doing, enjoying the people, and enjoying what we've accomplished, and be able to sit back and go, okay, we're doing a good job. Everything looks good, everything feels good, and just enjoying it and letting customers enjoy it without it being something new.
And what would your customers say about you, do you think?
Me personally?
Yeah, let's do that.
They would say I'm loud and bossy, but that I run a good pub.
And what would they say about Lee?
He gets bossed around a lot. And they would say he runs a great bar. His beer is immaculate. Products are great. I think it would be around that for sure.
Excellent. So I always like to finish off these with a kind of one question I choose in the moment. And I'm going to go with, what do you know now that you wish you'd known when you first started in the business?
Ooh, I'm going to have to think now. I think I wouldn't change it, but this isn't a job, it's a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And that became more of a realization as we got tenancies. And I probably would have liked to know that before I started, but I still wouldn't change it for the world.
But if you'd have known that before you started, do you think it might have put you off starting?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. I think it's become my child.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I would ever say I wouldn't want that child. It's just it's just something that I've never would have realized would have been the case.
Brilliant. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle. Yes. And if you're not down with the lifestyle after you've worked in a bar for a month, don't ever get a tenancy. Don't
ever do it. And you got to like wine.
Oh. You see, every time I know all the challenges of running pubs from being in this industry now for 6 years this year. And I always thought I wanted to run a pub. And then I love pubs even more now than I ever did before. But I'm like, no, I could never run a pub. And then every now and again I go, oh, but it would be great, wouldn't it?
You would run the best pub. It would be amazing.
Mate, I would, but my husband would absolutely loathe it with an absolute passion. He'd be like, people, nope. Working all the time, nope. Living in a pub, nope. But
you're describing Lee and he loves it.
No, they must never meet because they're basically the same person.
Right?
Keris, an absolute pleasure to speak to you as always. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. I don't know when it'll be, but I'm sure it won't be that long.
Hopefully I shall see you soon, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Love to Lee.
Indeed. Thank you, Mo. Bye.
Bye. And finally, a huge thank you to our trusted partner Zonal for their support with this podcast series.
They work with thousands of independent hospitality operators across the UK and have EPOS rental packages available designed specifically for pubs to help increase efficiency and boost revenue. For more information about what Zonal's technology can do for your pub, please do visit their website.